Good afternoon, everybody, or at least it's afternoon here on the East Coast. My name is Karin Coger, and I'm happy to be here with you today. So, if you guys don't know me, if we never encountered each other before, again, my name is Karin Coger. I am a trademark, copyright, and business attorney. I help high-level entrepreneurs, including doctors, lawyers, accountants, and people in other areas, but identify, protect, and strategically monetize their IP, turning their ideas into profitable assets and long-term revenue streams. So I want to first thank you, Alicia and Lorette, for having me here. I am in the Learning to group with you guys. I've also been in the AI group, and I also was in cohort 2 of the AI consultant program. I grew up outside of Philadelphia, graduated from Hampton and Howard Law. But before that, I attended some entrepreneurial things that let me know that this was going to be my path before I went to law school. So I would crochet items, sell them door to door, telling people I was selling them for school. My mom was so embarrassed. She's like, why are you doing that? You don't need to do that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I want to have other ways of getting money outside just my allowance. So I want to let you know that as entrepreneurs, I am there too with you. I'm not just an attorney. Okay, so enough about me. Let's talk about you. Most of you guys are here because you're either AI enthusiasts or you're consultants or you want to be a consultant. Most consultants will miss the $1 million opportunity that is sitting right in front of them, not because they lack skills, but it's because they fail to protect their brand. So I have a short saying in my program, which is Brand Protection Blueprint, and that is trademarks protect your brand, copyrights protect your content. As a consultant, each one of you already have access to protect. So I'm going to start with a few stories. So let's go with Russell Brunson. Now I can't see hands, but I would ask you, let me know in the chat if you are familiar with Russell. So a lot of us are. He's the founder of ClickFunnels, and he definitely has a story about how he has monetized his IP and turned his IP into millions. So again, he created a multi-million-dollar empire, but he did it by creating and owning diverse profiles of IP. So this IP includes copyrighted books like his bestsellers that are on the screen, um, online courses, and proprietary sales scripts. He also trademarks everything that protects all the different parts of his brand, not just ClickFunnels. Well, he also has Funnel Hacking Live. He also has Expert Secrets. So all of these assets are registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Russell also has trade secrets that are registered, and that includes his sales funnel structures, his value ladder models, and copywriting frameworks. And this gives him a competitive edge. So if you go to a Russell Brunson event and you just completely copy him or how he's doing things without his permission, then that would be infringement. So actually right now it's very interesting because ClickFunnels and Go High Level, they are in court. So Russell is suing the owners of Go High Level, basically saying that they stole information from 2 of his patents. So right now we're just still waiting to see what the outcome of that will be. So this is a list of some of Russell's IP items. I didn't want you to just hear me talk about it, but I want to show you how much time and energy he's put into protecting his brand. So next up, we have Taylor Swift. Most people know Taylor Swift as a musician, but in all actuality, she has built a $1 billion empire on her IP. So where did she start? And I think it first started when she was kind of sold out by her record company. she did not have rights to her music. So she had to re-record all of her own music. So if you hear people saying they're trying to get their masters, from the record label, she just went ahead and recorded that music. But Taylor protects everything. So if you think of small phrases that she may say in her songs, those have trademark protection. The songs, they have copyright protection. So I just wanted to give you an example of another person who's built an empire, not based on that one skill that got them there, but actually on the IP that they had to protect. So when building a brand, entrepreneurs mostly focus on marketing and community engagement and product development while they overlook the legal protections. So I do know that in the AI certification program, there are modules in there that definitely talk to you about protecting yourself legally. And most of that has to do with creating your business. But we want to take it a little step further. And I want to show you what can happen if you don't have the oversight to protect everything in the business. So this case study, it explores a scenario called the Gorilla Chef brand, where they lack trademark and copyright protection. And basically the brand was stolen. So the way this happened is somebody came up with the idea for a brand and asked a friend to make a logo for him. And he did. And he used that logo. Okay, mind you, there was not a work for hire agreement, nor there was a copyright transfer agreement because the person who creates, they own the copyright. And sometimes you can both copyright and trademark something the same. But this program grew. There is a book, there is a brand, or the brand of Gorilla Chef was on Facebook to unite chefs and other people who really like food. All right. He did not commission anybody else to use the logo. He built the Facebook group. He verbally told members that the brand belonged to him and not to use it. He even tattooed the logo on his leg. That just shows how much committed he was to this brand. However, he did not have those contracts I told you about, and he did not trademark the name. And so essentially, what is he to do? Is he just going to let this go? Because it really hit him one time where he saw somebody that was in a group, that was one of his friends, actually send him food or hot sauces with the Gorilla Chef logo on it. So he was pretty astounded. He's like, wait, he just stole my stuff. So this story is a little personal to me because that was actually my husband, and this all occurred before we got together. So he did not have the benefit, of IP legal advice. Um, okay, so what can happen if you don't protect your brand? There are a lot of protections through the courts, and people can actually be damaged on both sides, whether they're claiming that they, they have rights to the brand because they register it or they registered with a copyright office, or there's somebody else that might think, well, I used it first. I'm the one that has rights, even though they did not register it. So registering is very, very crucial. What can happen with some people, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard of it, is let's say somebody says something amazing and they're a college athlete and it goes viral. Uh, they're going to want to run down and file registration at the trademark office. Or somebody has made a TikTok video and people ask, um, or people say, well, that person stole my video. That's the exact video. Those are the exact words that I say. Now, we all know, well, I say all, but those of you who are on TikTok, it's a it's a community about sharing, but they also encourage you um to tag the other person if you're doing a remake of one of their videos. There's an opportunity to do side by sides. So there's all these opportunities to share. There was a story, I think it was last year with Risa Tisa. She gets on TikTok and tells this whole story, um, like who the F did I marry? So she tells us all about this horrible marriage she had going on. And you look up and there's at least two people that have filed for trademarks under something that she made famous. So I just want you to remember that trademarks, they're just not tools, they're actually business power plays. Now, since I am speaking about social media, another thing that you have to do is when you are on social media, depending on what platform you're on, they have different rules about trademarks and copyrights. So, for instance, if you're selling on Amazon, they have a specific program. It's called brand registry. I don't know if you have friends or whether you have a store on Amazon, but in order for you to have that store, you must have a trademark. So they do have a process in which they do help sellers get a trademark, but you can't have it if you don't register it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Continue. So again, this is a little long, and yes, you will get the slide decks. So what type of money could you win or lose when you're going through a situation like this? So when you go to court under trademarks, they're going to look for actual damages to the trademark owner, such as lost profit, sales, or revenue that was caused by the infringement. The court may infringe the other party, make them stop using the trademark illegally.
Karin, we're not seeing your screen anymore.
Okay. Okay, is the screen paused? Oh no. Okay.
Stop sharing and reshare.
All right. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So depending on what type of asset you're trying to protect, that will determine what type of damages you can be awarded if you go to court. And for instance, if you do have a copyright infringement matter, you do definitely have to have copyright registration. So if somebody does steal your stuff, as I call it, and you find out about it, you do have the opportunity to go and register real quick and show that you have been using this content and this other person has infringed upon you. All right. This also goes with patent infringement. So I told you right now, Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels, they are in court for patent infringement over two patents that he feels like go high level, basically stole from him. Okay, so I wanted to list some other cases in which people really truly did lose. So I don't know if you're into fashion or whether you heard about red bottom shoes, but they're really popular and they're very expensive. And Louis Vuitton's actually sued Yves Saint Laurent for selling shoes with red soles. So the mistake that Louis Vuitton had was, the mistake that occurred was Louis Vuitton had the trademark, but it wasn't as airtight as it needed to be. And what does that mean? Some people think trademark is easy, and it can look so because you absolutely do not need an attorney to file a trademark or to file a copyright. However, you have to file it the correct way. So if you file something that's in the wrong category and somebody uses it, similar but in a different category, there could be conflict if you stop using your mark. So when you get your mark, they're going to check in with you around year 6 to see whether or not your mark is still active. So again, registration is extremely important. And here he spent a lot in legal fees. Okay, I don't know if any of you had, or if your children had these, the fidget spinner. So the woman that invented it in the 90s, she did go and get the patent for it, but she could not afford the renewal fee. So something I say about IP is that you need to invest in it and you need to invest in yourself. So once this took off, even though she had a patent for it, they said, well, you're not using it. So the fidget spinners became a multi-billion-dollar industry, and she didn't get any money from that. So let's move on. So all of that to say is you are sitting on a gold mine if you are out here creating content. Now, there are some caveats to that, especially because we are in the AI space. There are questions of, if I make an image on Midjourney, file can I file a copyright for it? Can I use different AI tools to create the image that I want and register with it? And those rules are not very tight because this industry has only been around for what, about 3 or 4 years. So they're still trying to figure out what's going on with that. So one of the arguments that some plaintiffs in these cases have, especially against ChatGPT, is, well, you trained your model on my work. I own this work and I own the copyright to this work. So what's going on with that? Some people or some companies, major companies, are actually working out a deal with OpenAI or ChatGPT, allowing them to use their work, because I guess they figure if you can't beat them, join them. So it's not like AI is going away. So that is a caveat using um, using AI to create your assets. So another example is if you want to copyright something and you use AI, the US Copyright Office has basically said a majority of what you're submitting to copyright has to come from you, has to come from an actual person. You had to add to it. You had to give your thoughts, your feelings, your drawings, but it cannot just be a book that you went on ChatGPT, created the whole book, put a cover on it, and then you submit it for copyright. But again, that's also why you have legal counsel to tell you about these things. Okay, so what can consultants protect? So I mentioned a few of them, but ebooks, courses, your educational content. So let's think, if you have a group, you created an ebook for that group, and again, you have at least 50% of the book was you. You've created an outline for a program. If you do have a program, you've created training materials. All of that information is available for protection. Some people have a unique way of doing things. So again, I spoke about Russell Brunson. He has a unique way of selling. And then one of the products that he sells is the perfect webinar, in which he teaches people how to sell at webinars. And that is protected. Your brand element. So again, if you do have a logo, or if you do have something that's very distinctive to you, you're going to want to protect that as well. All right. So how can I help you? So what a business and IP attorney does is help you assess your risk. So that's where we identify what IP do you have that's lacking protection. All right, so what will that look like? Some people will come and say, hey, I have this one logo that I want to trademark. It's like, okay, well, great. Now tell me about your business and everything else that you're doing. And all of these other assets will come up. And I will tell you if you need to protect them or not, whether they are eligible for protection or not, or things that you can do to ward off infringement. So for instance, if you've ever looked at a logo and it has a TM symbol in the superscript, that company does not have a registered trademark. However, anybody can use a TM symbol. A lot of people don't know that. So if somebody sees that TM on that logo, they just might be like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with it. They look like they're protected. Funny story about that. There was an AI Facebook group that I was looking at, and I went to go read their rules, and they mentioned that everything was protected, and this group had a registered trademark. So of course I ran right over to see if they had a registered trademark, and they didn't. So essentially they were in violation for using the circle R, which is the official registered trademark, and that's an instance in which you should be using TM, because again, you are asserting that I want to protect this thing that I created. So we create a protection plan. One of the ways we do that is, I told you we go through everything, but we actually make a real audit, because truth be told, uh, trademark registration, patent registration, they're not cheap. Okay. Copyright registration can be not as expensive, um, but you don't want money to hold you back, because you're probably going to lose money in the future. So when we create your protection plan, a part of that is determining what marks are you actually using. Again, I mentioned selling on Amazon or selling on Etsy. If you have a mark that you used 8 years ago and you don't plan on using it again, fine, let it go. But don't be mad if somebody registers that mark. So that's the type of plan that we make, and you decide when you're going to do it. So for instance, when you file a trademark, you can file a trademark in 45 different classes. And not to get too technical, but if you file a trademark and you want to cover clothing, and you also want to cover that mark being on cups, those are different classes. And those things do have a tendency to add up. So some of the solutions are, what is most important for you to protect right now, and what maybe you can protect later, and make a financial plan for that. So hopefully hearing these things, you're going to be prepared to grow your business. And I told you that my program is called Brand Protection Blueprint. Um, and these are my offers. I'll go through them in detail, but I do fractional general counsel on subscription, which means if you think that you can't afford an attorney, or if you think that you don't necessarily really need one, and again, money's holding you back, this is a subscription program in which you can pay every month, and you do have access to me. So I'll get more into details of that later. Also, we provide copyright and trademark registration. So that's actually a separate program. So people that are in the fractional GC program, we call it GC, and that are paying on a monthly basis, and they're gaining insight, and they will have the opportunity to have discounts on the other things that I offer, such as copyright and trademark registration. And then there is the VIP experience. And then you also have access to some templates. Okay, so offer number one, what do you get with the fractional GC program? It's $197 a month. And during that time, you get a 30-minute legal strategy call. So to call, not just the, shoot the stuff, you really want to talk about legal things that are going on. You get one contract review a month, because sometimes a contract is 1 page, 2 pages. Other times a contract might be 10 pages. So you, within your subscription, you do get one review. And if you have more than that, I will work with you on that. You get a quarterly IP audit. So what I just talked about, which is going through all of your assets, seeing what you have and making a plan for that, we do that every 3 months. Okay. I will talk to you guys about AI and legal compliant updates within your niche. So again, I told you that law is ever changing because AI just, kind of popped out on us. And I always say technology is much faster than the law. So as I learn about the changes in the law, I will definitely let you know about the changes in the law and how that affects you. All right. And then you have priority scheduling with me and legal peace of mind. So I said this is $197 a month, but you can also pay for this program in full for 1,000 think $970. I have it written down somewhere, but that would give you 2 months off of this program. So I strongly think that you should consider basically having an attorney on retainer, as people used to talk about. All right. Offer number two is the trademark and copyright package. And this investment is $3,500. So what do you get with this? You get first of all, you get trademark a trademark review. One of the most things in that trademark process is that you want to search before you file to make sure that you do not infringe upon somebody else, that you might not inadvertently use a mark that somebody else is doing. And when we do this search, we go pretty deep. One thing people think or that domains count as your trademark, it doesn't. But you do want to be aware if there's somebody out there that has a domain that's similar to your mark, and what you're going to do about it. Is that mark that special to you that you'll say, I'm just going to, I'm still going to file, and they'll have to deal with it. So we do that first. After we do that, we prepare your application and file it with the USPTO. Okay. And this process right now is taking about 12 to 18 months. I want to say during COVID, there were so many people that became entrepreneurs during COVID that there were so many more trademark filings. So I do stick with you during these 18 months and work with you with issues that might come up with the USPTO. And you also get a custom copyright registration. Okay, now it's the VIP experience, which is my favorite, and it is an investment of $10,000. But essentially, what happens is you make an appointment with me. We have an appointment to gather all of your assets and decide how you're going to want to protect them. And then we sit down over Zoom, or if we're local, we can do it together and we register. We start registering what you need to register. We start getting your contracts prepared that you need in your business. So things that might take people perhaps months or years to do, we really do try to knock it out all at once. So if you are in the VIP experience, you do have access to the general counsel service, and you do have access to the trademark and copyright registration. Okay, so before we go into your choices, I'm actually going to come off screen. I hope I can get back on a little bit later, just because I wanted to talk to you guys. Hello, everybody, face to face. So again, technology does strange things, and sometimes you can't predict what technology is going to do. So I prepared a bunch of slides for you to talk about some people that you may be more familiar with. Because I gave examples of Russell Brunson, I gave examples of Taylor Swift, and you might be thinking, well, I don't have that money. I'm not that person. I don't know if I'm going to get there. So I wanted to talk about some people that you may know. So the first one is Ashley Kirkwood. So I don't know if anybody has this book, Speak Your Way into Cash. She was an attorney that made really, really good money. She wanted to get out of it. She wrote a book, and she started doing digital courses in marketing. And then she was coming up with custom plans for people. But then she became a speaker, not became, because she said she had essentially been speaking her whole life. And she created a program called Speak Your Way into Cash. That program is highly, highly protected in the IP space. As you can see, she kind of has her brand colors. Her signature is her glasses. This is something that was near and dear to her heart, that she always talks about. Everybody should write a book. Because you don't know the opportunities that will come from you having a book. Okay. Some of you guys may be familiar with Lamar and Ronnie Tyler with Traffic Sales and Profit. I've met amazing entrepreneurs in that program. But they started off at home. They had blog content, they were selling movies, but then they built upon it. So Traffic Sales and Profit isn't just a group, it became a training program. So he has a free version, he has a subscription version, and he also has his mastermind. But again, all of that information is protected by IP. So he has multiple digital products, online courses, coaching. He has his own mastermind. I think they said he built his community up to be over 30,000 people. So again, think about how you would feel if you built something like that and you did not protect it and it was taken away from you. All right. Then we have another one. Tiffany, Miss Budgetnista. As you can see, I read about this stuff all the time. So I told you I'm not just, an attorney. I am an entrepreneur as well. And one thing about all of these three people is that they did not start with a head start. They did work their way up. They did work with people and coaches to create their products. So Tiffany, like others, she has books, she has programs. I know that she did have a community at one point. Somebody else I wanted to mention, if you're in the entrepreneur space, you might want to look up this guy. This is Dan Martell. So I want to say Buy Back Your Time is essentially his signature book in which he teaches you how to run your company. And so what happened with that? He had a book, and again, it turned into a program. And so now he has all of this material that he's teaching, that he's giving or selling, and it needs high protection. So the reason that I told you that is I want you to know that this is possible for you. It's not just, the rich people. It's not just, oh, well, let me not do it, because I can't afford it right now. Like again, the story I talked about the fidget. Um, she didn't have $400. And I guess maybe, I don't know what her situation was at that time, but not investing into something that she had already taken the first steps to invest in, cost her millions and billions of dollars. So when it comes to trademark protection, it's not whether or not you can afford it. It's you cannot not afford it. It is something that you need to take extremely seriously, because what will happen is a lot of times people go and start a business. They have a cigar shop, or they have a tattoo shop, or they open a store online. Any of these things. And they'll register their LLC with the state. Sometimes they do it themselves. Sometimes they get forms off the internet, because again, it's not that hard to do per se. But when you're starting your companies, you should be looking at that trademark search that I told you about, and you need to start there, because you don't want to spend all this time and all this money building up your company, buying product, buying inventory, paying for marketing, paying for ads, and then you get hit with a cease and desist because there was somebody that already, owned that mark. So I just wanted to relay that to you. So I'm gonna go back to the slides. We're almost done. Let's
Karen,
see. Let's see if we can share.
hey, Karen,
Yes,
are you hearing me? All right.
yes.
Amber is asking, does the VIP package have a
Mhm.
certain number of trade?
So we talk about that during the consultation. So you're not just going to sign up and we're just going to sit down one day. It could be up to 5 trademarks. It can be up to a number of different classes, but it really depends. So that does kind of get individualized. Let me see. Well, actually, are pretty much at the end. So here are your choices. All right. You can continue operating as usual without proper legal protection or proper um, IP protection. You can work with me. You can pick one of the packages that in which I told you ways to work with me. And if you are concerned about money, there are payment options through Stripe. And that is what I have. So I hope you enjoyed this session. And again, thank you, Lorette and Alicia. And I think we have some questions.
All right. Anyone have any questions? Please raise your hand and I'll open your mic.
I do see some questions in the chat. Okay, we have Lula.
Is there a difference between getting your name trademark versus getting your, maybe a symbol that you're using for your business? Are those two different trademarks?
Yes, ma'am. And to tell you a story about that, just a real quick story. I was working with one of my friends the other day, who kept coming up with these different trademark ideas. And I'm looking them up and they had been used. And I called her back and I said, you know what? You already have a following. You're already selling. Why don't you trademark your name? So if you decide to become the brand, yes, trademark your name as well as whatever you're selling. This is why you hear about the Kardashians and you hear about Beyonce and Jay-Z trademarking their children's names. They want to protect them because essentially they'll have the opportunity to earn millions off of their names as well.
And Anne Marie's asking, what's the best link for a trademark search?
It depends. So, there are a lot of different trademark search companies. All right. There's a LegalZoom, and there's a whole bunch of other ones that I really don't even care to mention because for me, they just do a basic search. They do run a report, but they kind of just hand over the report to you. They don't really analyze the report for you unless I guess you pay a special service or fee for that, but they're not really thorough. So this is why I said you don't need an attorney to do this, but just if you're doing it on your own, just running a Google search, searching for domains, it's not enough. The comprehensive report is going to go farther than that, more business names, state trademarks. So that's really why you want to do that.
All right. And Karin wants to know, is the IP region specific?
Can you expand on that? Do you mean by country?
Karin, you want to open your mic and ask your question? Go ahead and unmute Karin.
Hello, yes. So Karen, thank you very much. This is an area that I know about and I've done nothing about. So just full disclosure. Because I'm based in Jamaica.
Okay.
We have ways they tell you how to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have done some searches and I
Mm-hmm.
know IP I think should be global
Mm-hmm.
because I could register something here. Is it applicable to someone anywhere in the world? That's
No, it's not.
exactly.
No.
So how
So
do you do it that it is so I register something in Jamaica. How do I protect it from someone maybe anywhere else in the world?
Now, I cannot tell you specifically about Jamaica, but there's something out there that's called the Madrid Protocol, in which once you are registered in your country, you can apply for registration in multiple countries. So I don't know if Jamaica is included in that, but that's something you should check out if you intend on selling outside of your country.
All right, Joanna, you're up.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so actually that is such an amazing segue because I did want to verify that. So using freelance services where individuals are based out of the country,
Mm-hmm.
how do you protect yourself that your work that they are working on, I mean, they give you some type of a disclosure, but how can you protect your work for freelance and they're in another country?
So even though they're in another country, number one, it depends on where you're getting them from. If you're getting them from Upwork or Fiverr, they do
Right.
have it built in that that they have no ownership over the work that they're working on. But I still suggest having them sign an independent contractor agreement, and then at the end have them sign a copyright transfer agreement. So they cannot come back and say, hey, I did this work, it really belongs to me. And another way to protect yourself is there's a thing called a Google reverse search. And I don't know if you've used that, because a lot of them use the same stock images, or they will just pick something from somewhere else or use a Google image. And when you get that back, that's something you definitely want to run yourself, because it may come up like, oh, there are 50 marks just like this. I don't want to do that. So that's one of the ways of protecting yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Amber, your turn.
So if you're a new business and you want to get started, is it best to go ahead and trademark your idea, or do you just get started and then do it in the middle of it to see if it hit, if you're doing tests to see which name works or which name resonate with your audience or which program? Because I have several programs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a leadership development consultant and a special needs expert and an AI consultant. So I'm
Okay.
combining, all these areas um, and wrapping it around AI. But, I customize programs to whatever audience I'm
Mhm.
speaking to because it's
Mhm.
versatile. So I kind of have like a signature structure. Do
Mhm.
I just trademark my signature structure?
Mhm.
Do I have to trademark the business name and then trademark my name and my logo?
Perhaps. And actually, I was going back to the slides, and I don't know if our assistant can put them up there for me, because you really going to want to talk to an attorney about that. So even though I did give you guys my three practices that I have under, my business, excuse me, I just lost my thoughts for a second, but everybody on this call is going to get a free complimentary call with me. It will be 30 minutes. So if I don't get to your question today, that's something that we could perhaps discuss more detail in person. I would say do not file for your trademark, because again, it's an expensive and it's a long process until you're sure of that name. Um, you probably are going to want to trademark all of those assets. But again, you don't have to do it all at once. So you're going to figure out what you want to protect right now and what you want to protect later.
And you would help decide that, like the level of priority and importance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let me see. I'm just checking my slides. So let me see. Okay, I was really checking them because I wanted you guys to have the QR code right now. There's a few ways that you can get in touch with me without having a QR code. If you do want to book a call, you can contact me. I am an attorney at Omnis Law, which is a very special law firm. We're under a new structure in which we're a group of independent attorneys all working for themselves and working for the firm and helping each other. So my email address there is Karin Coger at Omnis Law. So that's KARINCOGER at Omnis Law. If you write me and let me know that you're trying to book, I will make sure you get a booking link. And guys, this booking link that I'm sending out to you is specifically for this organization. So please just don't, give it out to everybody. And then while I'm waiting, the other freebies are you will get a link to this presentation. You will get a guide of important IP IP contracts that AI consultants should have. And again, the free consultation. And also with this booking link, if it is not working for you, please reach out to me. Had some, like I said, some tech issues. One of the other things about the consultation though, is it is only available for people in this program and it's only available until the end of April. So let's find that tiny link. Oh, somebody asked what state am I in? I reside in Maryland. I am licensed in New Jersey. However, doing the IP work, I can practice in any state. So I did say most of my work is virtual, but if there was somebody that was actually within this vicinity and you wanted to have, a face-to-face consultation or work together face-to-face, we could work on that. So sometimes being virtual all the time, you don't feel that connection. And I want my clients to feel the connection with me, whether or not, it's virtual or in person. I think that's important that you build trust, understanding, and really get to know them. Is there a certain level in your career that you should trademark or wait? All right. It doesn't have anything to do with your career. It's once you decide on the product. And another thing about trademarks is there's two different trademarks that you can file right now. There is an intent to use trademark. So that means you're not using it yet, but you're reserving it to use that name later. And if it gets through the process, you have up to 3 years to use it. So if I'm going to be, opening this store, Baby Bundles Blue, and you 100% have that. I'm sorry, I was looking in the chat.
I'm sorry, I'm back. The power went out.
Okay. Okay, so for whatever reason, it's not letting me type or copy and paste in the chat. Oh, but what I was saying is if you know that you definitely want to have that name, go ahead and file it with the intent to use application. The second application is if you're using it already, and they'll ask you, how far back have you been using it? Let's see. So is there a QR code to scan to receive the additional information you're giving away today? Yes, it should be emailed to all of you. It's on the Word doc. All the QR codes are there. I do apologize. You could definitely email me. Do I need to trademark for a book title? Yes. Definitely. You don't want anybody to steal the brand for your book. And like I said, with all these other books that I showed you, some of them wrote the book first. Others wrote the book in the middle of their process. But having the book, they really did build empires off of having the book. And there's something else I wanted you guys to know. Thank you, Lorette. Some people will say, well, why should I trust you? I don't know you, or you're an entrepreneur, Karin. Do you have your name trademark? And I had to go through a few things myself before I got there. Number one, I didn't always work for myself. I always worked for the state, or I always worked for some other company. And then when I went out on my own as an attorney, I'm like, oh, I need to start protecting some of my things. So I do have some matters that are trademarked because I'm working on my brand protection blueprint program, which you guys would be a part of if you do choose to accept one of my offers. That would be something that I would then file a copyright for. So again, I talk to you about all these people because I just want you to know that everybody started somewhere. So just wanted to let you guys know about my fears and my hurdles and what they call it, imposter syndrome. So yeah, go out there, be bold, and protect and promote yourself and monetize yourself. There are books with similar titles. Yes, that can happen. So again, there's a difference between trademarks and copyrights, which will go more into when we have our sessions, so please keep your questions. Sometimes things occur in which, okay, let's say your book was called, again, Blue Bunnies, right? And somebody had like Blue Bunny chattel. That goes into that search of whether or not you can do it. And then there are also some things that you can do behind the scenes, such as reach out to the owner of that trademark or reach out to the owner of that book and see if you can come up with an agreement. A lot of people don't know that. So with trademarks, if you have a mark, and again, if it's in different classes or different categories, like you're using a mark for your entertainment company, if somebody's using the mark to sell candles, those are different classes. So there's not going to be a likelihood of confusion about that. And that all goes into that search. Okay, I know domain names are being bought. Yes, so those are called domain squatters. So they will go buy up a whole bunch of domain names, and when you're ready for them, they will come with you with a very high cost. So they might have gotten the domain for about $7 off a Namecheap, but then turn around and try to sell to you for $1,000. So again, I tell personal stories. My name, I think I didn't let it go on purpose. I didn't have it under auto renewal, and I was focused on the law firm and not focused on my personal brand at the time. So when I realized that my domain had lapsed, because again, I went out and bought a bunch of domains. I knew I was going to do this at some time. It was gone. There is porn now on what is my name if you put in my first name, last name.com. I'm not paying for that. I changed it to Karin Coger Esquire, which is where I am on all social media. So, but I didn't have anybody working with me to kind of guide me through that and do all that strategy that we talked about. And I was only focused on one brand. I didn't know if Lorette, you want to take it from here? I think I'm done with questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Karen. Very informative session. Everyone definitely learned something today, and they will be trademarking or learning more about copyright. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being here today, and see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.